Hello, my name is Dan Johnson. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be reviewing a Big Finish box set, something I've not really done before, and definitely not in this format. It came about because Series 1 is now ended, and I really want to review more stuff. And I thought I have this huge catalogue where practically I have releases every month that I have from Big Finish that I can talk about and I have opinions on, but I've never put them down and spoken about it to the camera. And I thought I've got an entire branch of stuff that I can dive into while Doctor Who's not on air. I will predominantly stick to new releases and only talk about stories that I have opinions on, positive and negative. Today, I'm taking a look at a saga. It's two sets. It's called The Last Day, and it's part of the Seventh Doctor Adventures. The Last Day is a really cool concept. It's the idea that the Seventh Doctor is at the end of his days, as you can imagine from the title, and this is his final adventure. This has been sold as a love letter to the character, and it features tons of companions, like absolutely huge amounts of companions and cast members for this big, epic 12-part finale, which promised to give the character a proper send off before the start of the TV movie when he's sitting in his chair listening to vinyl. I've not listened to a massive amount of Big Finish featuring the Seventh Doctor. I've listened to a lot of sort of collaborative stuff, a couple of monthly adventures, but so not a great deal. Um, but with this, I was really excited to see what we were going to get in terms of the Doctor's final moments. Like, what are we going to get in terms of the God complex element and the more manipulative side that was promised and sort of alluded to in season 26, which, as I'm told, Big Finish has sort of expanded upon with different releases. And I was looking forward to seeing that. And with the synopsis for this story, we have the villain essentially be the Doctor. You know, the Doctor is shaping creation to his own image and his own desires. And of course, we have all of the Doctor's friends coming together in order to try and help and to save the day. If you take Bonnie Langford, for example, but this sort of works with all of the characters other than Ace. Langford appears in episode 1, or in fact, it might even be episode 2, then disappears for episode 3 to come back into episode 4 and spends the entire runtime with us in episode 4. No other subplots are talked about. Then appears at the end of episode 6, then has a moment in episode 7, then goes sort of into. I'm not entirely sure where she is at that point, to be honest. So, in terms of her journey, it's quite difficult to follow. There is a character that I've not really seen before, but I've seen on covers of monthly adventures called Hex Schofield. And I think that his subplot in this story is the best one. I think his character's really cool. He is battling sort of his family ties and having left the Doctor and left that life behind, being dragged into it, and what his and his wife's priorities are when it comes to saving the world and looking after their children. Plus, his story has massive connections to the main plot, which I think are the most fascinating of the entire thing, but it also has the Sontarans, so you have plenty of very cool action sequences. If we go to the start of the story, the first two episodes is Ace gathering a team of villains that have very little connection with each other together in order to help her. There's also two versions of Ace, so this is quite a complex story. You really don't know what's going on. You're very lost and you're jumping around as she visits various characters that you recognize and some that you really don't. One of them is like a frog creature. I have no idea where this thing came from, but it's in the story. There's a character in this set that's part of this sort of band of villains, and that is the Mother, which is a character that I can find very little about. I believe she was in a Third Doctor Adventure story, and the idea is that she is um, visually impaired and she has a huge superiority complex. I'm not entirely sure what she's doing here or what she's linked to with the Seventh Doctor, but she does come into play in episode 12. But she appears in like the first two parts, and they lug her around, and she has more screen time than the Seventh Doctor, just so that she can sort of fill in this little gap in the story that I can't mention because of spoilers. It makes it feel like they were given all of these characters, and instead of bringing them all in for a reason, they just throw them all in and just see what happens. And it doesn't quite matter if these characters don't have a full purpose in the story as long as they are there. For example, you have Klain. They brought Kane back from Dragonfire, and he is really cool, and he has lots of nice little lines. But then again, he's not really doing a lot in this massive, epic 12-part story. Sticking in more characters does not just give you a story or give you a pass for a good box set. A big thing with bringing all these people together is that you have reunions. Kane and Bonnie Langford, Ace and Kane, stuff like that. But no, because that doesn't really happen in the set because everyone's kind of had amnesia, and they don't really remember who they are, what their relationship with the Doctor is, or if they hate the person standing next to them. It also means that a lot of the dialogue is filled with people saying things like, "That kind of sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't quite remember it." The Seventh Doctor, I would not say, is on fine form during this set. There are moments where he is played and written for as an absolute clown, which is something that Sylvester McCoy really wanted to stay away from, making his Doctor too cartoonish, too silly. And then he's, sitting there watching cartoons, talking about them if they're real. Now, there's some stuff contextually that changes that, but sticking that stuff in when the Doctor, this is a celebration of the Doctor, this madman, this sort of god complex man that's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders and all these decisions, and is also slightly manipulative, and he's watching a cartoon talking about it if it was real. I was really looking forward to seeing a Dark Doctor and that manipulative side coming into effect and having his friends have to come together to try and stop him. But they mention in the behind the scenes that they had to sort of toe the line slightly with what they could do. And I think that is such a hindrance to this story, because it means that you can't make the Doctor evil. You can't do these evil things so that your story sort of lacks a main villain, something that they're all driving towards. It doesn't help that in the story there's lots of moments when characters try and hype up the adventure that they're going on and that it's about to get bigger, and cooler, and this is the most dangerous thing that we've about to witness. And I just don't it doesn't resonate with me. It just doesn't connect, because it doesn't feel like it's got the focus, or I really know what we're searching for, what we're trying to stop, or what the end goal is. And I think that's such a shame, because there's so many ways that I think about it when I link it to, like, the last adventure, the Sixth Doctor's sort of final episode before his regeneration that was never properly televised. And I see this and I think it just wails in comparison. A weird little tidbit that I noticed that keeps cropping up in the story is over reliance on massive outros to music. There are characters can say these lines that sound vaguely important, and they're sort of cliched. And there'll be like a 10 to 15 second like outro in terms of the music. There's also, I think in part one, there is about 15 seconds without any dialogue, and it's just sound effects of like things being built or something like that. It's really odd. Also, I'm pretty sure that the main theme that they use for this box set is just the Masterful theme. Now, I really loved Masterful, and I listened to it several times, so I know that theme really well, and I'm pretty sure it crops up several times in this box set. Splitting the story into individual sets or individual episodes would be quite nice, having that Sontaran things with Hex being its own story, having the sort of villain arcs, or maybe even splitting these two box sets where you have sort of parallel stories going on, where you have one group and then another group, and they both move at the same time, and so there's little connections between each story, but you have two different box sets and they tell the same story with different angles. And then, of course, you'll have to do a sort of final thing in the second box set to wrap the whole thing up. They were given so much time with this set to tell a story across two 6-part box sets, and the fact that its ending has so little closure to these characters. This big send off to the Seventh Doctor has so little to say about this time of the show.
And I think that's such a shame. It's such a shame. So please don't listen to this if you're a new listener. If you are a big Seventh Doctor fan, and I mean big, you need to know quite a lot about this show in order to truly understand what's going on here. I mean, I had to do a bit of Googling and a bit of sort of checking myself to work things out as I went along. Maybe this set will be worth it to you, because to me, that is worth here. There are parts of this story I enjoy, and as I have with my job a lot of time to be able to listen to these box sets, I might need to kill 3 hours or 6 hours in a day while working on a job. And listening to a big box set like that would definitely kill the time. As I listen to the story, I will sort of focus on different characters. So maybe next time I go through, I'll focus on Benny and um, Bonnie's story and stuff like that. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you are new. If you'd like me to do more Big Finish reviews, please let me know by liking and commenting on this video. I hope to do some more. I don't know when. When I feel like I have something to say, I shall make another one. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.